And we're joined by the one and only Mr. Toby Jepson. How you doing, Toby, mate?
I'm good, yeah, good. Nice to be here.
It's good to see you again, mate. Obviously, since last time we spoke, you've been back to live shows the last couple of weekends, but that's been absolutely awesome to be back, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. With a mixture of total fear and and but yeah. I mean, it was a bit rabbit in the headlights to start with, a bit really. I think we've all got so used to this, the terrible situation we've all been in, and there's been quite a few, sort of situations where we've been offered something and then it's been stopped at the last minute because the lockdown we went back into lockdown and blah blah blah. So I was kind of like contemplating the possibility it might not happen at all, and actually weirdly we very nearly didn't, because when we played the Steelhouse Festival, Phil, our drummer who lives in Portugal, got pinged by the track and trace.
Yeah, I saw that fella got pinged.
Oh, it was really difficult, and of course, poor old Black Spiders had a similar situation. So we ended up playing their slot, and I played an acoustic slot in the slot of Wayward Sons. It was all quite sort of, oh no, what's going to happen? But the reality was, we were in front of an audience that were absolutely desperate to hear live music, and we were absolutely desperate to play live music. So I think it was a real relief actually for everyone concerned.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like you say, I mean, I had friends who were at Steelhouse, so I still need to make up that mountain. I've not made it over to up there yet. I still need to do that. It's on my, basically, because Rambling Man Fair's closer, I've gone to Rambling Man Fair.
Yeah.
And it's normally the same weekend or the weekend after or whatever. But, I keep getting friends telling me I need to make the journey. So I don't need to do that. But
well, it's great. I mean, it's like so many of these wonderful boutique festivals, for want of a description, it's run by enthusiasts who love the music. And I think that's what came across the most actually on that weekend, which I'm sure will be the same with Stonedead, is that it's populated by real music fans. It's run by real music fans. It has the passion and the energy associated with all of our collective love of the kind of the music that we all want to listen to, and so it's a joy. It's like being part of a huge family, and you can't really go wrong with it. People are so supportive, and I think that's what I loved about to come back after being away for 16 months and play a show at something like Steelhouse was, a fantastic entry into that whole arena, and I couldn't have wanted anything better. And I think this obviously with Stonedead, and obviously we played the second year with Wayward Sons, and it's great to be back. I'm looking forward to it immensely.
No, man, like I say, we're all looking forward to next weekend. Like I was saying to you off air, obviously I just was playing my festival a couple of weekends ago, the weekend after Steelhouse, and similar sort of thing, really. I was speaking to a lot of people when I was walking around, and a lot of people telling me, it was their first gig going to it since lockdown began. All the bands on the bill were absolutely hungry to play, because I think some of them had done one or two gigs beforehand, but for some of them it was their first gigs playing, and if not, it was certainly in the first half a dozen shows of playing. And like you said, I think it just feeds into that energy. And like we spoke about previously, mate, when I spoke to you, I'm kind of hoping that a bit of a roaring 20s scenario might occur while we've all been locked up, and just going to get back out there and see more live shows, mate.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I think it's been such a drag for everyone, and we all know why, and we've all had to comply, and correctly so, but I think there's, if anything's been thrown into sharp relief, is the need and the importance and the potency of live music, and how much we've all missed it, and how much it all means to us. So who knows? I mean, it's just great to be doing it again, and let's just sort of see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you did rest on your laurels in lockdown, mate. You been recording Even Up the Score, the third album, all set for release on October 8th. So
yeah, no, that was it was the thing that we focused on. I mean, when the kind of the first lockdown was announced and all the rest of it, it was pretty clear that we were in for a long haul. I sat down at my computer and was very fortunate that we'd recorded a lot of material for the Truth Ain't What It Used to Be album, and I had always fully intended to use those tracks for the next record. That was always the intention. That was kind of, I think I had a little bit of a kind of like foresight for that, really, because I sort of said to the guys when we went in to make that record, let's record as much material as we can. Let's try and do it like almost like 2 albums back to back. That was always the principle. And so fortunately we were left with great backing tracks that we could then relook at and add, and get some perspective on. And I think, in a crazy way, the lockdown allowed us that distance, allowed us to sort of really concentrate on the music without any distraction. And I think it's the finest record we've made. I really do. I think it's, of course, you know, that's what every band says about their new record, isn't it? But I do, I do genuinely think it's the most confident, most sort of together record we've made. And I think we've learned a lot of, you know, being together and the kind of music we want to make, you know. So there you go.
So when you were saying about the backing tracks, was that all they were before obviously this recording process, or had any sort of more formed demos been laid down, or was it just sort of backing tracks and ideas and bits and pieces?
No, well, I mean, the way I work is that I tend to write a lot of material. I mean, and what I do is I'll formulate a song idea around a title and which then sometimes a bunch of chords, sometimes a melody, and sometimes it all comes together. But I go into the rehearsal room with working ideas, with songs that are pretty much fully formed, and then give them to the band, and then we work them up. And so what we did on those sessions for The Truth was we developed a lot of ideas to the point where they started out with my simple demos, phone demos essentially, and then we worked them up into working songs. And so what we had when I started examining the hard drive were varying degrees of success with that process. So some of them were very fully formed, some of them had full drum tracks and, you know, full written guitar parts, and sort of I'd bust a guide vocal on it, some of which were just kind of like scratchier versions, you know. So the process really then became, what have we got that we can use? What do we like that maybe isn't finished yet? And then so when the bit between the two lockdowns, we went back in the studio and re-recorded some stuff and started on some new material. So it was a process, you know. But I suppose what I'm saying is, because we had that long protracted period, which is unusual for making a record these days, we were able to really focus in on it, figure out what was working, what we really liked, and really hone it. That's the process, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you were kind enough to send me a couple of tracks that, you know, a couple of months back. One of which being Bloody Typical, the upcoming new single, and then Faith in Fools as well. Also sent across before I released that. But along the lines of those, and you know, Land of the Blind and Sign of the Times, I'm with you, mate. I think it's going to be your strongest album yet, and I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you. Like I've been a fan of you for a long time, and I've always loved Wayward Sons. You know, first year I was a Storm, and I just get a feeling that this one's just got a bit of that magic third album about it from the tracks that I've heard, man.
I think so. And, you know, and it's not a mystery as to why this happens to bands. You know, I think that, you know, your first album is your flush of inspiration. It's your starting out project. You know, you kind of concoct an album based on usually quite quick processes, you know, and then your second record's where you're settling down and you're trying to work out the kinks and figure out what else you can do. By the time you reach your third album, it's the same thing with Little Angels, you know, the Jam album. By that point, you've usually worked out the kinks. You've usually worked out where maybe you've made some missteps, and you go into your third album with a clearer view. That's the vision of it, really. And I think that's definitely happened with this process. And I'm very proud of it. And I'm very proud of the guys in the band, because everyone put in 110% as usual and kept very, very positive about it. And the results are hopefully will speak for themselves to people, you know.
I think it's all well, proof is in the putting it in the eating or in the listening in this case, and that's that. I mean, you know, like I was saying, you're already all set to release Bloody Typical, which coming out, is it September 3rd? That's coming out.
September the 3rd, yeah, absolutely, yeah, and one of my favourites from the record, and been around a long time actually. That song, that's one of the few songs that's been knocking around. I actually wrote it with the intention of using it with James Toseland when I was producing James.
Oh, right, okay.
And I was writing songs for James, so I wrote that idea and took it into Toseland, and for one reason or other, it didn't chime. You know, it didn't work, and then we tried it for the first Wayward Sons album, and it didn't kind of come together, you know. And the second album we tried, it didn't kind of come together. So, but I just always had a thing for it, and I sort of said to the guys, look, we've got to make this track happen. You know, I really love it. I love the title. I love the idea. It's very tongue in cheek, but it's also got a serious message, and I think it's one of the best things I've written. You know, and so we started working on it, and it just worked. I don't even know why. I just think, again, this whole thing about working together for such a long time, we just got our hands around it and fully understood it. So, yeah, I think it's a kind of one of the central songs to the record. And yeah, I'm very proud of it. Yeah.
Oh, I said to you before when you when you sent the tracks across, mate, that one just wanted me to make me want to pick up my bass and do my best Nick impersonation.
Great.
And that's when I know a song's got a hold of me, when I'm sitting there and I go, right, where's my bass? Because I need to work out what on earth's getting played here. So yeah, it's definitely one of those moments.
I'll go. That's really pleasing to hear, because that's what you hope to do. You hope to inspire people to go, "Oh God, that's great!" What's the words? I want to sing it, whatever. So no, that's very good. That's a really cool validation.
Well, that's one thing I got out of lockdown, mate, was picking up my bass again. It's between, I play for fun these days. I haven't been in a band for a little while, but I still sit and write just because it's what I love doing. But between Just Push Play and Stonedead and working my 9 to 5 and gym and all the other commitments, everyone else has got my bass got a bit more dusty than it should have done. But during lockdown,
you can always blow the dust off, Lee. That's the point, isn't it? Right?
Exactly. The problem was I was trying to snap the rust off my fingers as well, and my fingers were telling me I could still play certain songs, and my brain was telling me I couldn't. So
good stuff.
Took a while to get the rust off the fingers, but yeah, but having the other side of the coin of that is because I got in the habit of playing again. It's something I've kept up, and I've started writing again, for nothing more than just fun. Yeah, but nothing more than just because it makes me happy. Simple as that.
It's often the best it is. I mean, I've often said to people say, what was the greatest period of Little Angel? And I say, when we started, when we were in the garage, when we're just working it out and we're all good mates and we're down the pub together and we're just working it out, that's often the best it ever is. And I think, because the joy is just absolutely front and center, and it's all about just having a great time, and you're not thinking about trying to make records, you're just having it, you're doing it for the fun. And I think, without fun, there is no music business. It's got to be centered in that, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, definitely, I'm with you on that. And you've already released a sort of snippet teaser for the video, which looks, like I said, to be another. All your videos always really, like, you going back to the fun side of it, they're always really look like a lot of fun to make.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big visualist. I've got a real passion for film and a real passion for the visual arts, and even though this set of videos for this album was a real challenge, because we couldn't get together. I mean, in these videos we've released, and Bloody Typical and Faith in Fools, we did manage to get in a photographic studio and shoot a very basic live performance video, because we didn't have any other choice. It was it's fundamentally difficult to get us all together and within the restrictions. So it became quite complicated, but I decided, to employ an animator, this fantastic young animator called Ewan Friel, who is going to be a big star. He's in the world of animation and in the world of filmmaking, he's a really brilliant, clever young man. And he's created these fantastic animations, which we've now coupled together with the video. So yeah, I always try and do something different. I always think every time we put a record out, don't look what you did before, do something different. I mean, of course, we had the zombies and we had the clowns, and now we've got animation. So there you go.
Yeah. I did take it, looking at the album cover artwork, still it's the same artist who's done the first two.
Yes, yeah, Stuart Dilley. I wouldn't use anybody else. I'm really very proud and pleased with the way that those album sleeves have.
Yeah, they look great.
Come out, and it's in the grand tradition of those, fantastic illustrations and pieces of artwork that were created by by some great artists for some of the best records ever made. I don't include the Iron Maiden records as a good point of reference.
Yeah.
So it was it's become a thing, and I like it, So and Stu ain't going anywhere. If we carry on with Wayward Sons doing what we do, he will always be making the album sleeves.
Yeah, that's cool. And obviously, one of the big changes is obviously that Dave's left for health reasons. Just on a personal, obviously, because I met you all at Stonedead in 2019, and I'd obviously the only time I've met Dave, but I had a really good natter with him, and he's an absolutely sound bloke. And how's he keeping? Is he doing all right? And
yeah, he's doing fine now. I mean, it's just unfortunately one of those things, that he developed a physical problem with his hearing, which affected his balance, and he's been under, sort of care and attention of the right people. And I spoke to him, actually saw him a couple of weeks ago. He played a very small festival as a saxophonist, because his main instrument is a saxophone, actually. So he played like in a covers band at this little festival I went to up in Yorkshire, and spoke to him afterwards. And it was his first major gig back, and he'd been a bit nervous, but he said it went fine, and he feels that he can do small amounts of music, but he has to be very careful. And we've sort of said to him, look, Dave, health first. It's as simple as that. You're our mate, and we want you to be well, and so we'll see what happens in the future. But at the moment, he's still in his recovery,
No, it's good to know he's doing well. I was the other week I was chatting to Seb Byford about the Heavy Water project, and I know you played some sax on that, because Seb was discussing that. It sounds like he's still keeping his hand in and still doing what he loves, which is the main thing. Just like
totally.
I say, first and foremost, just keeping himself healthy and looking after himself, which is
that's it. That's the absolute priority for us. That he feels he's getting himself back together, and he is. He looked well, and we had a good natter, and I felt sort of confident, if you like, that he was on the road to recovery.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously, speaking of Stonedead, we sort of touched upon earlier that next weekend you guys will be back. This radio show, as I let you know, is going to be part of a bit of a celebration of all things Stonedead. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to get you back on, because well, from a fan's point of view, I know everyone loved your set, and I know you guys had a good time. You sent a real kind message to us all once after 2019 set. We were all doing the lovely work of tidying up on the Sunday, which is the unrock and roll bit that not everyone always thinks about. But we're doing the takedown and the tidying up on the Sunday, and we all sort of stopped for a brew for 20 minutes or whatever. And Neil Maynell came in and said, "Look what Toby's put up," and lifted your spirits up when you're doing the judgery bit. I've got to be honest, man.
Well, mate, listen, it was full and absolutely meant from the heart, fully deserved. I was absolutely blown away by, everything you guys did. It was, amongst one of my favorite festivals I've ever played. It was just brilliant. And for a group of people that were largely volunteers to be able to stage that so well, so professionally, so completely with the right spirit, with real joy and a kindness about it. Actually, I think there was a real kindness to everyone in the crowd, and it transferred into the audience and transferred from the band onto the bands, and the whole thing just worked so well. And I can see that that kind of festival, kind of where the way that Stonedead do it, you guys do it, that to me is far more conducive towards the sort of idea of watching live music. The behemoth events that we see, which are all great, I played Download several times, and I know Andy very well, and it's a brilliant event. It's massive, but it is massive.
It's huge.
It's beyond. It's not what I grew up with. I did grow up going to Monsters of Rock and seeing that one-day event and looking at those 6 or 7 bands and having that one hit of absolute adrenaline where you got the one stage and you didn't have to move too far and all that. I totally get it. And so to me, it's just been a brilliant idea, beautifully realized, and long may it continue.
Yeah, I think we're all in it for the long haul. We all absolutely love doing it. It's an honor and privilege to be part of the team. Those guys set it up from the Monsters of Rock veteran page and started kicking off the ball. I came in a little later on to start doing website design and media and that kind of thing. And then, when it got close to the first date in 2018, because Chris knew my background and what I was doing with Just Push Play, it was like, mate, I need someone, sort of dawned on him that as much as Chris would be in every single corner of Stonedead doing everything, and in many ways he is, he became quite apparent that he couldn't do what he needed to do front of house and back of house. He needed someone back of house, and he asked me if I would do it, which is that's what I do on the day itself. Now coordinating the Friday night, as that's got bigger as well, and helping on that side of things, which is obviously where you guys are going to be playing on the Friday night side of things. This year is a little different for the Friday night because we're going to be in the main arena because of everything that has been going on COVID wise, but I think that's going to work really nicely.
Yeah, no, great. I mean, we were delighted to be asked, and of course we would never have, we always would have done it irrespective of what stage it was going to be. But no, I think you're right. I mean, there's no point taking any risks. We still, I think people have got to remember that we are still exiting very carefully at the moment, and who knows what's going to happen in the future. But let's hope we can find our way through this maze. And so if we have to play outside, I mean, hey man, I'm fine with that. No problem at all.
It's just that thing, is it, like you say, everyone's taking baby steps on the way out and trying to do the right thing. And I know we as a festival are trying to do that. So it got to a point where it's like, right, we need to make a decision now. And the right thing is to do what's best. And we believe what's best was to keep outdoors, because what's the worst that's going to happen? You get a bit of rain, but that's what British Festival's about.
Yeah, we'd be sad if it didn't rain, wouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly. I've not been to many. I've not been to many where there hasn't been a little bit, I don't think.
I know.
And of course, Nick is the only person to have played all 3 now. So Nick's doing well. He's
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him as if he doesn't know. But yes, he keeps reminding of us that, of that fact, So yeah, it's.
Well, like I said to you off air, I was joking with Nick last year when you guys turned up and said, "All right, well, you've done two, mate. You're going to come back for a third. Then you need to, after Chrome Molly and Wayward Sons, you need to form another band and come back with a third one." So he's going, "Oh, you never know," and he was right.
It's good fun.
As you say, on top of all this, those return to live shows, and in November, you guys are going back on the road in support of the album. I'll be at the London Day at the Academies, and I love these, and the Academy's great venue. But I'll be there, so see you guys there, and I bet you can't wait to get on a full proper tour now, can you?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's been a long time. I mean, it was so frustrating because when we finished the Steel Panther tour, it was only, God, I mean, a couple of weeks later that the first lockdown was announced or whatever. It wasn't very much longer afterwards, and so we were heading into a spring headline set of dates, and of course they were all cancelled and we couldn't do anything about it. So it was like, oh no, what we're going to do? And we tried to move the dates, and of course that wasn't going to work because none of the promoters and none of the venues were certain when things could even get back. So we had to basically cancel the whole thing. So it has been a long time since we played at headline level. So yeah, we're all very much looking forward to it, and we're hoping that really this set of dates in November is the first raft of dates. Yeah. I'm much more akin to the idea of doing a collection of short collections of dates several times. I don't just want to do one big long run. So we're doing these 8 or 9 shows first in November, and I'm already talking to the agents about doing some more in the spring. So it won't be the first set of headline dates we'll do, but hopefully by the time we get into next year, things will have eased up even more, and we can really sort of push that forward a bit. So yeah, so anyone, I mean, I'm having a lot of messages from people saying, "Oh, you're not playing near my hometown," which you're always going to get, but just to assure people we are going to do more. So that's the plan.
There you go. Have you announced who's going out on the road with you yet for November?
Not yet, but we've had every single band in the world ask us. So
I know that feeling.
So we're just, I mean, we haven't announced yet because we're concentrating on essentially getting these singles out, getting the whole gears. I mean, behind the scenes, I don't think people realize how much it's taken to get started again because of in all kinds of ways, so record label involvement, promoters getting back on just getting working again, and so we are, the gears are only just beginning to grind for us. So we're working towards that. So we will be announcing a support slot, the support band, very, very soon. But I can't say who yet.
That's fair enough. We'll keep an eye out for that. But so other than that, what are the plans for, you guys and yourself for the rest of the year and into 2022?
Well, I mean, I think we want to promote this album as much as we possibly can. I mean, we're all gung ho for it. We want to try and get as much live activity as we possibly can. So we're looking at a couple of support slots at the moment, but again, they're scant because a lot of the acts that are kind of we would open for, a lot of those bands are still skirting the issue of whether they're going to do a tour and when they're going to do a tour. So it's not easy, but I think as the new year, I do think when the new year rolls around next year, if there hasn't been another major incident with COVID, which we're all hoping there won't be, I think things will start to settle down a bit and there will be tours announced, and then we can start looking at that. Whether we can get into Europe next year is anyone's guess, because the whole problems with Brexit and the difficulties with touring in Europe are also affecting everybody. But we are navigating that. We are still booked on on 2 or 3 major events in Europe next year. So my overview is really get the album out in October, do the dates in November, do some more shows hopefully in the spring, continue to promote the album, go into the summer. We're still opening Download on the main stage on the Friday for Andy. That's still in place. That'll be an absolute dream, so I hope that I genuinely, hand on heart, just hope people like the album enough to want to come and see the band play and want to hear those songs live, and then we can take it from there. It's in the hands of the public as ever. It doesn't matter what I might say about how good I think it is. It doesn't mean anything if the audience don't like it. So I hope the audience like it.
Well, but from someone who's heard a few more tracks, and thank you again for trusting me with those. I was complete on it, mate. But if they don't like it, I don't know what else you could have done, to be honest.
Well, neither do I, Lee. That's my whole approach. It's like I can't do it better than I can do, and there you go.
There you go, exactly. So at the beginning of the interview, mate, we're going to play Faith and Fools, just with it being the most recent single will be released at this point, because we're laying this on Friday. But what song of yours would you like us to air at the end of the interview?
I tell you what, I mean, I wouldn't mind you playing another one off this new record, and I think really, you know, it would be a toss-up between Bloody Typical and Big Day, actually. I think I really, really like Big Day. It's a kind of happy song, and I don't write many happy songs. So let's go for Big Day. Let's go for Big Day, which was the second single off the album, and it's certainly one of my favourites.
All right, mate. Well, we'll lock that in, and pleasure as always to talk to you, Toby, and I'll see you next weekend, mate.
Thanks, Lee. Take care, and looking forward to seeing everybody.
Yeah, I'll pass you, but before I forget, everyone did tell me to send their love because they knew I was talking to you tonight anyway. So
I'll send it straight back. Thanks a lot.
Certainly will, mate. And we'll see you next weekend, pal. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy.